Oh, hi there, everyone. It's Linda here from Just for Tummies with my special guest this evening, rapid transformational therapist Rosalind Palmer. Sorry to keep you waiting a bit, but Ros and I have just been speaking about shamanic healing and shamans, something that we'll
What's not
discuss.
to love? What's not to love?
What's not to love? Yes. And I was just explaining to Ros that a friend of mine is she's a colon hydrotherapist actually, and she also, in fact, I interviewed her. I did a live video with her a few months ago, Helen O'Brien, and she also trained in the healing bowls, the crystal
Yes,
bowls.
yeah, no,
Yes.
I'm a big fan of all this stuff now, Linda. I did a gong and healing sound meditation only last week. And
Yeah.
about 2 months ago I did one in a wigwam, but this is for another conversation. But it's
Let's
definitely
let's try and stay on track, Ros.
having a really good effect on me, Linda, because
Yeah.
although I am a healer in many ways, in
Yes.
many modalities,
Yeah.
I'm all for finding new ways to heal.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I once attended a sound bath. It was like a retreat for the day, yoga, lovely vegetarian food, and a sound bath at the end of it. And it was amazing. It was marvelous and great for reducing stress levels. But this evening, Ros, we are talking about mind over menopause and how stress can exacerbate menopausal symptoms, all menopausal symptoms, and how clinical hypnotherapy, and in particular rapid transformational therapy, RTT, can help menopausal women better manage their symptoms and give them a better quality of life.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, yeah, what do I want to say first then? I mean, because I find that, many women nowadays in the 21st century, that, they're going through the menopause, and some of them, they're working full time, they are managing childcare, or they're helping with grandchildren,
Yeah.
and they may also be helping with elderly relatives as well.
Yeah.
And I know because I've experienced this myself. So these women it can be very challenging for them. So first of all, Ros, thank you for being here with us this evening. Tell us a little bit about you and your menopause journey.
Well, it doesn't sound much like I think we should stop there, Linda, because when I start saying it, it doesn't sound like much of an advert because I've been menopausal for 19 years, and that you could argue, well, if you're that good at what you do, you should have stopped it. I've never quite ended every bit of it. It's a bit like that. For me now, I see it as the barometer for my health, my thoughts, everything isn't totally in line. So most of the time now I'm, absolutely without any symptoms, I'm good. But if I start having a hot flush at night, or, just feel a little bit out of sorts, that's my barometer now. So I think in a way, because I have homeopathy, and I was saying to Wendy, who does my homeopathy, oh, can I just finally shift this finally? And she said, I think that one remaining 1% that you have, Roz, is like your little barometer. So yeah, so I've been menopausal for 19 years. I had breast cancer nearly 20 years ago, and it was a hormone receptive breast cancer. And I went from being a very healthy 43-year-old to a cancer patient, came through the cancer, and within a year, boom. I mean, it was like a freight train, Linda. It was just like a freight train. There
What,
was
the menopause, Ros?
Yeah, there was no perimenopause for me. There was no easing in. It was just, as I said to somebody the other day, it's a bit like, I think Goldie Hawn said there's two ages in Hollywood, Babe and Driving Miss Daisy. I literally went from Babe to Driving Miss Daisy. Which
You
is
were 43 then, Ros?
Yeah, well, I was 43 when I had the cancer. So I would say the menopause probably about 45, 44, 45. And as you know, Linda, I was married at the time, my second marriage. And actually, he pretty much said to me, oh, you've conned me. I thought you were this, relatively fit and attractive and vibrant and sexy 40-odd. And I did genuinely feel like driving Miss Daisy overnight. My waist disappeared. I was teary. I had complete memory loss. I don't just mean slight memory loss. Like, I completely forgot to go to appointments. There was no residual knowledge of it in my head. I genuinely thought I'd got Alzheimer's, or I just had this complete loss of me, and it was actually worse than the cancer, to be honest.
That must have been very frustrating for you then, Ros, because I know I know that you're a very well-educated woman, you're a very well-read woman, you're a very sociable woman. So,
Yeah.
having that type of memory loss must have been very frustrating.
It was really scary, Linda. And I was also in a very senior position in a job. And look, I think I have to accept responsibility for this as well, because I actually didn't go to work and go, hey, guess what? I can't remember what I'm supposed to be doing. And I feel so sad today. I think I'd like to just go to the toilet and cry for 3 hours. I didn't feel it was very career enhancing. So I didn't really seek help, but actually nearly 20 years ago, it wasn't really, the whole menopause in the workplace thing was really coming in probably like the last
very different 20 years ago.
Yeah, there were no policies. It wasn't recognized. I mean, I can remember being a Saturday girl at CNA, way back, Broadmoor Centre in the late 70s. And I can remember coming into the staff room, very young. I was only a teenager, Saturday girl. And I heard one of the women say, oh, she's totally lost it. She's gone through the change and she'll have to go. And I remember thinking, what are they talking about? And went home and talked it through with my mum. And she said, oh, there's this change you go through. Of course, they didn't really talk about it, did they, back in the day? So without banging on, my early menopause journey was not great. I actually think it was a very big contributing factor in my second divorce. But then, that's what happens when you marry somebody with no empathy or sympathy or kindness.
Oh, yes, I mean, it's very important.
So there we go. I think had it been a different person, they might have responded to what I was going through differently. So I really, really had to seek help very quickly. And basically, because I'd had a hormone receptive cancer, the conversation with the doctor went along the lines of, you can't do HRT, goodbye. That was it. That was pretty much it. And they put me on antidepressants, which, we could have 45 minutes here about how I think that is outrageous, that actually I wasn't depressed. Well, I kind of was, but actually what I needed was some help through the menopause. So luckily, because I have always been a great seeker of complementary medicines, I did find a way through. I did find a way back to myself. But it wasn't easy. So now I'm a real advocate for women who are going through that. And it's a real mind-body connection. And of course, I coming from the mind, but of course, because I'm pretty much an expert now on epigenetics, I really do understand about the mind-body connection.
Yes, I want to ask you about epigenetics later. In fact, I've forgotten to just jot that down, will you, Ros?
I will.
Put that down on my list.
Making a note.
Make a note. So yeah, I mean, me being a complementary therapist, it's about, through all the decades of our life, women, about being prepared, about having awareness and knowledge, and the same applies with the menopause. So women are better equipped to handle the challenges that menopause may bring. So I want to delve a little bit deeper into stress and the menopause then, Ros, if we can. So how can the mind impact the menopause from your viewpoint, in particular, from a rapid transformational therapy viewpoint?
Yeah, well, I think the menopause is really interesting in relation to stress, Linda, because, chicken, egg, chicken. The menopause, your hormones are in flux. And because your hormones are in flux and all of this is going on in your body, it will actually increase your stress levels.
Yeah. So
You know,
it's cortisol.
science, okay? Science, you know this, I know this. So obviously just the very fact that you're going through the menopause or perimenopause means that you will have heightened levels of stress. Now, the catch-22 is the more stress you have, the more menopausal symptoms, you know, you're going to get. So because let's talk about epigenetics a little bit. I'm going to pepper it through our talk.
Okay,
So
yes, please do, yes.
stress and bad factors on your health send signals through the body, which are obviously saying to the body, you know, we're out of kilter. You know, the whole fight, flight, freeze, you know, the kind of we deal with what feels like an emergency. We have a kind of an emergency hormonal response, which obviously has kept us alive for a really long time. And unfortunately, when we're going into menopause, when we're in menopause or perimenopause, you know, those stress levels, those stressors are in our body. It feels like we are out of control. Our stress hormones are behaving badly, just like cancer is cells behaving badly. This is our sort of hormones behaving badly. Now, epigenetics, and I will dial back on this, and I've got a couple of really expert things I just wanted to read to you, and I'm going to read them because I think it's really important, because you're going to have very well-informed people watching this. And there's a lot of conventional medicine that likes to poo-poo some of this. So I want to actually read some stuff so that we know that we are talking scientifically proven fact here about a lot of what's going on.
Okay, great.
But the big thing about stress, okay, there are the environmental factors, and epigenetics is all to do with cellular activity. But the big factor about epigenetics is environmental factors. So, you know, what are we doing to ourselves? What environment are we creating for our body? And probably the biggest factor is what's going on in here, you know. So negative beliefs, negative perceptions, negative responses to things, they all affect your hormones and they all affect your stress levels. And so, of course, you're feeling stressed because the hormones are going slightly crazy. You probably, like I felt like you were going mad, and then somebody goes, oh, you're depressed, have an antidepressant. Great, let's have a label now as well, and let's suppress it all. No, let's help with a stress response that's actually really healthy. So yeah, does that make sense and answer your question?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. So when you say environmental, some women think, oh well, that's something outside of me. I am not responsible for, you know, what's happening in the environment. But when we're using the word environmental in this particular case, we're talking about lifestyle, aren't we?
We're talking about your body. If you think of your body as a ship, that's the ship you're sailing around in, okay? You know, if you're going on a cruise, that's the environment you're on, you know, for the week you're on the cruise. Okay, you're on the sea as well. So there's an environment beyond the ship. So if the sea's choppy, the ship's going to be doing that. You know, the sky, what's happening up there, you know, is there weird gas in the air? So the environment starts with your body and moves out. And I think, look, a lot of women will have been pregnant. A lot of women will have had babies, and they are totally on the page that what they do and put in their body will affect their baby. Now, epigenetics starts in the womb, okay? So that cellular formation starts in the womb. And you know that beyond just eating well, having good nutrition, having the right vitamins, folic acid, etc., keeping your digestive system good, you know, a lot of people who are very wise, you know, they're going to play soothing music to the baby. They're not going to try and get too stressed out all the time, because they know that that's affecting the baby. So you already know, ladies, if you've had a baby, or if you know anybody who's had a baby, that environment affects cellular activity, because it affects.
Well, yes. So as I said a few minutes ago, Ros, you know, being a complementary therapist, for me, it's about preparing your body for whatever is coming, and that's the same with pregnancy, of course, and it's the same with the menopause, and it's the same, you know, when we're post-menopause and we're going into our 60s and 70s, and preparing our body and our mind for older age.
Yes. And I wanted to read I'm not going to read lots of things, but I just think this is really important. So hormones affect gene expression. So this is the epigenetics bit, okay? And this is about mentally preparing for that change, okay? It's not about you losing yourself. That's how I felt because I didn't have any help. So I'm just going to read this because I think it's really great.
Ros, can I
So,
just say, sorry, I can hear your music a little bit more in the background.
oh, okay. Hang on 1 second. I have such lovely kind of music, and I don't know how to mute myself while I shout at Alexa. How do I mute myself while I shout at Alexa? All right, we'll just go for it. Alexa, turn the volume down.
And I just want to say before you carry on, Ros, ladies, if any of you have any tips, about menopause symptoms, how you're managing your menopause, how you got through the menopause, then please do post your comments below this video, because we're all here to learn and help each other. Okay, then, Ros, go for it.
So think of gene expression as a recipe book in your body. Your genes are like recipes, and the way they're used or expressed is like the chef following a recipe. Hormone regulation, and obviously the fluctuations that happen, is like the chef's supervisor. It tells the chef which recipe to use and how much of each ingredient to use in each dish. When hormones are balanced, the chef, your body, follows the recipe, the genes, correctly. Now, during menopause, hormonal changes can be a bit like having a new supervisor who gives you new instructions. This can cause the chef to follow the recipe differently. Sometimes this can lead to dishes, and this is how your body ends up behaving, not turning out as expected, which can result in symptoms like hot flashes or mood swings. So when we talk about hormone regulation affecting gene expression, which sounds complicated, we mean that changes in hormone levels during menopause can influence how your body uses its recipe book, its genes, and this can impact how you feel and function. The goal is to find ways, and we'll talk about really good ways, I've got a top 10 very soon, to help the chef, your body, adapt to the new instructions and maintain balance. I thought that was really nice, and that's why I wanted to share it.
Very good analogy. Yes. I mean, for me, I started going through my menopause when I was about 45, 46, and I think I was about 56 before I felt as though I was completely through it. But even and it was a challenging time for me. I was working full time in the clinic. I was, developing just the tummies. And even that, sometimes I can get palpitations, if I'm really busy and getting a bit anxious. But I don't think, well, is it hormonal? It could be hormonal. It's certainly cortisol, isn't it?
Yeah.
Using too much
I think it's chicken and egg. So in a way, it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
And what I do, when I can feel myself getting a bit anxious and palpitations, I'll just go and do some exercise, and I'll just burn off that cortisol. And that seems to help me. It may not be the same for everyone, but that seems to help me.
That's why I'm going to give you 10 solutions, because you're right, not everything works for everybody. And like some people it's exercise, some people it's the absolute opposite, it's total rest and breathing and meditation, and sometimes also it might be exercise for you one day and breathing and meditation another. You've just got to learn to listen to your body. That's the big thing. And I'm the queen of listening to my body now. I really am. I'm like, what do you want? Are you hungry? What do you want to eat? Are you tired? Do you need exercise? I think you've just got to, this is you trying new recipes, if we go back to that analogy. The ingredients aren't going to work the same. It's like when I moved to the Bahamas and you try and bake bread, it's a nightmare if you try and follow a recipe that you do in England, because the altitude is different. You're at sea level. The atmosphere is different. It's very humid. Bread and things like that, bake in a totally different way in a country like that than they do in the UK. So just being in that different environment means that your good old recipe that, you know, your mum gave you from the Biro cookbook doesn't work anymore, and you
Yeah.
have to adapt it.
I've still got that Bureau cookbook.
Me
My mum's
too.
got one. My
Me
mum's got
too.
one from the 1960s.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very important that women do understand about the menopause, not just the symptoms of menopause, but the health impacts of menopause and the decline in estrogen, in particular when it comes to cognitive health. You know, there is
Yeah.
an increased risk of getting dementia when estrogen drops. It can certainly affect our digestive system.
Yes, absolutely.
Increasing the risk of reflux, bloating, constipation. It can affect our muscles, our joints, our nervous system. So, and as I said earlier, emotional support is very important from, I've put here friends, family, a counsellor or a hypnotherapist to address any emotional challenges associated with menopause. But also it's crucial, healthy diet, plenty of protein, plenty of essential fatty acids.
Yeah.
The brain is about 60% fat. It needs fat. Staying physically active, managing stress, we'll come on to that with you in a moment. Adequate sleep, maintain a healthy weight. That can be a challenge when going through menopause, because I put weight on when I went. Well, I did. I put weight on when I went through menopause, but what was that because of the menopause, or I was so busy, I wasn't really looking after myself very well. I wasn't exercising as much as, I was sat in front of a computer for hours and hours at a time. Oh, yeah, we don't need to say avoid smoking, do we? That's a given, really. Excessive alcohol, and of course, take supplements to ensure all nutritional needs are met. So, do you want to talk to us a little bit about? Do you want to give us your 10 top tips now?
Well, I think you've probably just more or less covered them, but I sure that just shows that you and I are on a very similar page, Linda. And so here we go. So, well, breathing. I actually think breathing, because a lot of why I used to really sleep badly and get incredibly tired was because I couldn't turn that whirligig mind off. It was just going and going and going. Or I'd get to sleep and then I'd wake up and it would be like, oh, you're doing a to-do list at 3:00 in the morning. And as you know, I have a signature presentation called the Itty Bitty Shitty Committee, so all that's going on as well. Why did I say that? Why did I agree to do this? Why didn't I do that? So a lot of it is that we are in our identity mind, if you like. And so for me, a lot of all of the beneficial things really come from switching that off, or from mastering that to start with. And clearly, declaration, that's what I do for a living, but that's what I did for myself. So I walk my talk on this one. So the best way to really switch off your identity mind is through breathing, is through breathing exercises, is through meditation. Now, back in the 90s, I did transcendental meditation, and they asked me to leave when they found I was making a shopping list under the table while everybody else was all like, ooh, I was like, oh, I was like this, with a bit of paper. And I just
were you bored, Ros? Were you bored?
I just couldn't do it. And I remember this tap on my shoulder and this woman going, I don't think you're really getting a lot out of this, are you? And I was like, no, not really. So sometimes you need guided meditation, that's fine. You can have guided or listen to meditation. I think the idea of you're just going to sit there and suddenly bliss out and be zen and wipe your mind of everything, like some Native American Indian or guru who's been practicing it for 30 years, it takes time. Okay. So breathing is really important. Meditation is really important. Mind, body. Your mind controls your body.
Sorry, Ros, can I just go back to breathing, because it's very important as well that people breathe correctly.
Absolutely.
A lot of people, they're breathing from their upper chest, aren't they? The upper lobes of their lungs, shallow breathing, when they should be breathing into their belly, into the lower lobes of their lungs.
I don't think I breathed properly for half my adult life. In fact, probably 2/3 of it, until I really I did Kundalini yoga, but I'll be honest, it was a bit hardcore. But that's all about breathing. And I used to nearly pass out because I don't think I'd had that much oxygen in my lungs. I used to feel quite lightheaded afterwards. So you're right. I think most people actually don't know how to breathe, and so there are some simple breathing techniques. We can talk about them, but breathe. Okay. Breathe, meditation, quieten the mind-body connection, hydration. I think that's really important. Years ago, there was a book, The Body's Many Cries for Water. My partner gets headaches, and I'll always say to him, how much water did you drink today? And he'll go, oh, not really very much. And I go and drink 2 really big glasses of water. Usually the headache goes. A lot of headaches are actually that you're actually dehydrated. And of course, while your body is going through any time, but particularly when your body's going through all of these new recipes, as I like to call them now, you need more nutrition. Obviously, nutrition as well. And you've talked about that. They're not called essential fatty acids for nothing. They're essential. Regular exercise. So again, find what's right for you. You and I both, I got that walk thing from you in lockdown. That was a game changer because I was so, fed up. And for me, yoga, Pilates, walking, being out in nature, I get exercise every single day. I'm 62, Linda, and I haven't had any work done, just so we all know. This is how I turn up, and I'm walking my talk. I
was 64 in February, Ros, and this is
I salute you. I salute you, Linda, and I hope we, help other people. Quality sleep. I didn't sleep properly for 20 years. I was on Zopiclone sleeping tablets for 6 years. That's really heavy duty stuff. That's the kind of stuff that if your house was burning down, you wouldn't wake up. It took me a long time to get off those tablets. I can help people. I discovered 5-HTP. That really helped me. A nutritionist can help you. But again, a lot of it is about quieting that mind. Social support, your connection, your network. You've said that as well. Professional guidance, obviously. And then epigenetic awareness, really. So really everything we're talking about and putting it into context. So I think that was 10. And if it wasn't, my apology.
Well, I mentioned it. Social connections, pursue personal goals. You're never too old to learn anything. And a healthier mind can lead to more effective coping strategies when it comes to the menopause. And yes, complementary therapies. For me personally, what helped me, acupuncture, reflexology, and aromatherapy.
Acupuncture for me, game changer, really great. Also resetting the vagal nerve, which actually really helps. So I'm a big Wim Hof fan, and I do a cold shower every morning after my hot shower or after my bath. I do a cold shower. I don't do it for long, but that will help you reset your vagal nerve. Mantras, good gut health I have written down here as well, funnily enough. Daily interaction with people and nature. Let me just name a couple more, Linda. Sex, orgasms, got some help for that if anybody needs it. Music, so uplifting music. Smell and sense, as you said, aromatherapy. I have those lovely little diffusers around the house. I think that's about it really from my go-to list.
Okay, so we've got clinical hypnotherapy, Ros, and then we've got rapid transformational therapy. So can you just explain the difference between the two and how RTT can address specific menopausal symptoms to promote overall well-being?
So rapid transformational therapy is basically a hybrid therapy. It's built, if it was a house, its foundation is clinical hypnotherapy. Clinical hypnotherapy is getting somebody into a very relaxed state, hypnotic, sometimes just super relaxed, so that they can regress, i.e. let go of the day-to-day, the now, and really go deep to find out what is going on, what's the root cause of some thoughts, feelings, behaviors that they don't want and are no longer serving them. So they're going to be in some sort of a pattern of feeling, being, and on a far end, that can be an addiction, or it can just be, I feel like crap. I don't like myself. I don't feel good enough. I don't know. I've lost my confidence. I've lost my mojo. Or it can be, quite extreme. I'm literally super, depressed, although depression is really repression. I feel almost, life isn't worth living, or, I've got an addiction.
What do you mean? What do you mean? That phrase you just used there? Depression is not depression. Did you say it's regression?
Repression.
Repression.
Yes. So show me somebody who's got the label depression, and I'll show you somebody who's either got suppression or repression.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Usually they've been put down, held back, maybe by a very dominating parent or partner or their society. They've been having to be a square peg in a round hole through culture, society, family, partnerships, whatever. And they're just not at one with themselves. Of course, there are physiological issues as well, but I want to park that. But a lot of people who come to me, genuinely, Linda, when they fill that form in and say, oh, I'm depressed, when we really get to the heart of it, it's because they've been repressed or suppressed and held back, held down, not allowed to follow their, true self. They don't even know who they are. It's like that Julia Roberts character in The Runaway Bride. She's been so busy people pleasing, she doesn't even know who she is anymore. That's why, she can't settle. So it was a bit of a throwaway comment, but I do think it's often at the heart of what a lot of people present to me. So back to your question. So clinical hypnotherapy will do that deep dive. We'll take somebody into hypnotherapy, into relaxation, to find out what's causing that. And often it's so deeply buried that you don't even know, because if you could think your way out of it, you would have done it. You're like, I don't know why I keep doing this thing or thinking this way or feeling this way. What's wrong with me? Why, and we will find out what it was. And it won't usually be one thing unless it's incredibly massive, like PTSD because, your house blew up or something truly, truly terrible happened. It's usually a whole series of little things that stacked up and created, this thing that your subconscious protected you from, but now you're in a pattern that you just can't break.
Now, Ros, as well, if it's a woman that's suffering with depression, and then along comes the menopause and all the hormonal changes on top of that.
Exactly. So not only was she not feeling at one with herself, but now she doesn't even know who she is. I mean, and I know how I felt. I felt, depressed. That was the label I was given when I was happily given 3.5 years of citalopram. I think I needed a good cry, good cup of tea, some nice nutrition, a bit of acupuncture, some walks in nature, and a few kind people around me, to be honest. That would have really, that would have been my prescription. So the only challenge with traditional clinical hypnotherapy is a lot of people feel quite resistant to it. They're like, oh, I don't like the idea of that. I don't want to lose control. And so RTT was developed by adding some other modalities. So there's bits of psychotherapy, mostly kind of in a child work, what you call parts therapy. What's the part of you that maybe got hurt so badly that, you really need to heal that. NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and as you know, I'm an NLP coach. That's really about how am I seeing the world? How am I talking to myself in my head? What's my world reality like? And then CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which, as I did get on the NHS, CBT, and that's really about delineating what's going on, making sense of it. I feel utterly overwhelmed because that's going on. What can we do now? How can we deal with that? So RTT is really powerful because it brings elements of all of those things together.
That's right. Thank you. I was going to say something. I was going to ask you something. It's gone. I can't blame the menopause because I'm well and truly through it. Anyway, I did want to ask you about cell command therapy. On what exactly is cell command therapy? Is that like another add-on to RTT?
So yes, in a way, it's not so much an add-on of RTT, but it's a natural extension of RTT, shall we say, because really in RTT, you are getting the mind, you know, to change, to get rid of those things that are holding it back. And of course, the mind is connected to the body is connected to the mind. And a lot of people come for RTT for physical issues, you know, for things that are really going on in their body. And that, you know, you could say that would be, you know, anything from an addiction to smoking, you know, because there's a physical component of it, to I've had people who have just had kind of phantom bad backs. And you'll know that people who've maybe had amputations, you know, get those phantom pains in their, you know, in their arms and legs or limbs that are no longer there. And so because of nerves and the whole way the body is, having the brain command the body or work in harmony with the body can actually really help it to heal, or help it to heal itself, or promote healing. Okay, so cell command therapy, and again I've made some notes because this is very much Bruce Lipton's thing, and he wrote The Biology of Belief, and he's probably the daddy, the godfather of epigenetics, if you like. He said his research reveals that individuals are programmed at a cellular level even before birth. You can actually have trauma inherited program, and they've seen this with children who are children of people who were in Auschwitz and Nazi concentration camps. You know, they've actually had like a cellular memory that's actually come down through embryonic stem cells, and influenced not just by the environment, but by hereditary. And then you have the environment. So you've got the environment's crucial role. So what's going on around you? What are you eating? What are you surrounding yourself with? What environment are you in? Clearly, you know, if you're in a prison cell, it's not a much fun environment compared to if you live up a Swiss mountain, you know, overlooking the Alps. Very interesting. And this is where I wanted to read it, because I know that there's some debate over this, but this is Bruce Lipton's own research. Okay. He says that contrary to the DNA-centric view, he has discovered that the cell, and you know, we have 50 trillion cells, outer membrane functions like a nervous system, continuously receiving and interpreting the environment in which it's in within you. This external cellular brain guides the cell's internal functions and adjustments, operating billions of times all day, every day throughout the body. So in a way, what he's saying is outside each cell, you've almost got a brain and a hard drive.
Yes.
So obviously, by extension, if you can reprogram the brain, reprogram your thoughts to actually talk to that network of intelligence and those cells within your bodies through all of these external mini brains and hard drives, then you can actually promote them to self-heal or to behave in a way that you would want them to behave, rather than to behave with dis-ease. That's cell command therapy.
Okay, right. So each individual cell is like a little mini computer.
That's exactly what his research says. And it's quantum physics. And then an article in the British Journal of Nature actually echoed it. So look, it's a bit out there, you know, but I've seen it. I've seen people, you know, commanding their bodies to really heal, and healing a lot quicker. I'm not saying you can heal from everything. You know, I'm not making any claims here, but I am saying that clearly this environment, this ship you're sailing in, if you had a problem on a ship, you'd clean it, you'd refresh it, you'd do everything you could about it. If your kitchen got contaminated, you know, you'd do a deep clean and you'd put good things into it.
Well, I did a little stories video yesterday. It was a lovely day, wasn't it, yesterday? And the phrase, you know, where the mind goes, energy flows.
Totally.
And, you know, the importance of having a positive mindset, because then you know the positive energy will flow there.
Totally. And again, you know, if you use a really horrible example like Viktor Frankl, you know, who came through the concentration camps, he basically, his book, Man's Search for Meaning, which is not a light read, okay? But basically the conclusion he comes to at the end, and of course there's luck, there's disease, and you're a bad, you know, you're bad luck that in that block you were in, it had typhoid or somewhere else. But fundamentally, his conclusion was the people who really got through all of that were the ones who had that mindset that they were going to survive, that they had something to live for, that they were going to have children, they were going to come through it. You know, that fundamentally is, you know,
So they had hope. They had hope.
yeah, they had hope, and they had that mindset that they were going to get through it. I mean, I love watching that celebrity SAS program, SAS. I don't know if you watch it, but they take like celebrities or normal people and they put them through SAS training. And there isn't
Bear Grylls, is it?
Oh, it's like Bear Grylls on acid. It's way beyond Bear Grylls. It's proper SAS people, and they've got celebrities. I mean, you know, so the celebrities come in all kind of, and then within 2 weeks they're all kind of, you know, well, 2 days they're all crying, and but it's very interesting because obviously you have to be physically very fit to get through that training. But again, every single time you watch that, the deciding factor is the ones with the belief, the ones with the mindset, the ones who can keep going, the ones who don't quit. Absolutely every time.
So let's just bring this back to menopause again.
Well, it is a bit like, I think it is a bit like SAS training, to be honest.
Yeah, well, yeah, getting your mind ready for the menopause. Yeah. So if a woman comes to you, right, she might be perimenopausal or menopausal, and she's really struggling with the symptoms. You know, she thinks she's going crazy. It's affecting her work. It's affecting her relationships, Ros. Where do you start with her?
So again, I would definitely use RTT and coaching. I think I'd probably start with a conversation as to really how it's showing up in all of those different areas and which are the ones that are being super compromised. Clearly, just like you know, she needs to be seeking help outside of everything I can do, nutrition, gut health, the whole 9 yards, all of it. This is part of it. But why is certain aspects of it affecting her more than others? You know, like maybe in the relationship area, maybe in her, you know, sleep, maybe in her really plummeted self-esteem, maybe in her almost body dysmorphia. You know, I used to look attractive. I used to feel attractive. I don't know who I am when I look at myself in the mirror. It's about her identity, and it's about what. So again, I would say, we're a bit like houses. You can build a house on a slightly dodgy foundation and it will be great for years. Okay, absolutely fine. Then a hurricane comes along, or then, you know, a bit of a seismic shift. Suddenly, or you build an extension and you put more strain on the original, you know, foundation. Suddenly there's a crack in one of the walls. So that woman, this menopause, what's going on? That's what's happening. So we're going to work out, why is your foundation cracked? What happened originally to make your foundation cracked? Because once we make that foundation incredibly solid, you know, through doing that dive, through working out, that her self-esteem's only been holding up for all these years because she looked young and she looked okay, and now suddenly she doesn't feel young or look young or feel okay, and so that's all gone completely out the window and she doesn't know who she is anymore. What's the root cause of that? The relationship was holding up while she was fun and interesting and sexy, and now she doesn't feel like that. He doesn't want to know, and he's already having an affair, or, you know, whatever. What basis was that relationship based on in the first place? So we're going to work out for her, where are the cracks in that foundation. She's going to be doing lots of other wonderful things to make this house a really wonderful house with the nutrition, and I'll send her in loads of people's way, yours, Wendy, the homeopath, you know, and between the two of us, I'm sure we can refer anybody to probably about 10 other wonderful people. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and work out why her foundation is cracked in the way it's cracked, and we're going to get that house that she lives in, her body, we're going to get it not only on a better foundation, but we're going to make her feel stronger than she's ever felt before.
Yes, yes. And I think for some women, going through the menopause, it's a big psychological shift, isn't it?
Totally.
It's a time when many women ask questions of themselves. Am I where I want to be with the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with?
Totally.
Childbearing years are behind them for those women that did want to have children. And I think, for some women, it's a time to think what they want to do with the rest of their lives.
Totally. And these big changes often bring that. I had a client whose house was destroyed in the Malibu house fires. And she had a massive house, like a really amazing life, big house, all lovely. The house got burnt down. They had to go into temporary accommodation together. She realized that they'd literally been living apart in this massive house with their big, kind of different life. And when they actually came together in a small house, they realized they didn't like each other. She certainly didn't like him. And, that coming together in that close proximity, okay, it was obviously very traumatic having lost her house and everything she owned. But what she fundamentally realized was she didn't actually want to be in that relationship anymore.
Yes, yeah, interesting. One thing I want to say as well, ladies who are watching this, you can try lots of things to help manage your menopausal symptoms, but if they don't work for you, obviously get advice from your GP anyway. That's a given, and consider taking HRT if it's suitable for you. And there's a really, really good a menopause group on Facebook run by Jane Pangborn. Are you in that group, Ros?
I think I probably am. Yeah, I've been watching with interest all these fantastic groups. So yeah,
it's called the HRT Truth Collective, and it's run by Jane Pangborn.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really informative and well-run Facebook group. Lots of really good free information in there. If any woman is considering going on HRT, is already on HRT, and perhaps it's not suiting her for whatever reason, maybe she needs to change the type of HRT. Anyway, the HRT Truth Collective is, in my experience, one of the better menopause HRT Facebook groups.
Can I just add something from the question you asked me earlier? I think it can be an incredibly liberating time as well. And I think that, again, up until this point, maybe things have been a certain way, you felt a certain way, you've looked a certain way, your relationships have been a certain way. But this is a time for enhanced self-awareness. Suddenly, this is the time to go, oh, who am I? What do I want? What do I like? What's important to me? That self-awareness is the first step to self-acceptance. Because maybe you've only accepted yourself or felt good about yourself before because it came, with a certain look, a certain feel, a certain thing, And once you get through that self-acceptance, you get to the pinnacle, and it's self-love. And I can't tell you how bloody good that is, excuse my French, because once you actually love yourself for who you are and for what you are and for what you represent, and you wonderful friends, and you found out what makes you tick in a very deep and spiritual way, that liberation, when you have that synergy between your mind, your body, your spirit, it's absolutely amazing. That's maybe one nice thing to show somebody the other side of the bridge, and I really want to say that to people.
Yes, yeah. And of course, that helps you stay young in mind, in body, doesn't it? Having that kind of liberation.
It does.
I just want to say to Nikki, yes, this is being recorded. It will be on the Just for Tummies Facebook page, YouTube channel, in the Tummy Talk Facebook community, and we're sending it out in a newsletter in a week or two as well. So yeah, thanks, Nikki. Bye. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that, Ros. Yeah, that's. I totally agree with you on the liberating front. And you know, one of my favourite poems by Jenny Joseph. When I'm an old woman, I shall wear purple, or yeah. When I'm an old woman,
Yeah.
I will wear purple. And I remember reading that as a much younger woman in my 30s, and I liked it then. And I still like it because it's not just about a woman who's going through or has gone through the menopause, but it's about a woman who's being true to herself.
Absolutely. And a lot of, when you're younger, you don't have time to sit and work out who you are a lot of the time, because you're being a mum, you're being a career, you're being a partner, you're being a daughter, you're being, all of these things. And yeah, it's really liberating when you reach that level of not just self-acceptance but self-love. Really, it's a really good thing. And I don't really like purple, but I get the idea. I'm like,
It's my granddaughter's favourite colour, Jessie.
is it? Lovely.
One last thing, Ros. So rapid transformational therapy, to me it means quick. Does
Yes.
that mean that people who come for RTT sessions, they don't need very many sessions, unlike clinical hypnotherapy? Have I got that right?
That's fundamentally why it was called what it's called. I mean, I trained in the very first intake, and it was actually called the Marissa Peer method when I trained. And then, because of the results that it was getting, they actually rebranded it
Okay.
quite early, probably about a year or two into rapid transformational therapy. So, yes, I think that, yes. I had psychotherapy many times. I used to call it an expensive cry. And it was very good, and I needed to be heard, and I needed the box of tissues, and I needed to vent and let it go. But when you sign up, you think I might be still here in a year or more, because I'm still going to be processing. With clinical hypnotherapy, I see what other people put on their websites and the discussions that I had. People will often say you might need, up to 10 sessions. With rapid transformational therapy, I can honestly say, and I've been doing this for 9 years, for one issue, and of course often there are many linked issues, but for the presenting issue, I've actually never gone beyond 4 sessions for that issue. So yeah, I think because you've got these extra modalities, because it's layered, but it's not for the faint-hearted either, Linda, in a way. You want to sign up for this when you really genuinely want to make a difference and make a change.
Yes. Yeah, so I know that you've got all this, all these modalities, all these disciplines, all these tools that you've trained in, Ros. But also, you are, as I said earlier, a well-educated, well-read, well-travelled woman in her early 60s now. So I think you bring all that into your sessions.
I do, and look, and also
you're a wise woman.
And I've been very broken, Linda. I've been very, very broken, very broken. I've seen it from the chair. I've been in the chair.
Yeah.
I've been in despair. I've had loss. I've had, a lot of, quite challenging life experiences. And so I come to it with that knowledge, with compassion. I come to it, you're right, with a lot of life experiences. I come to it with my background in PR and marketing, and I have a very mercurial mind.
Yes.
I never stop learning. What I absorb on top of the training I have. And more, I'm actually really on a bit of a spiritual path as well. So, I'm very much into just being there for people and really, holding space. I know it's a very American thing, but I can't think of a better way of putting it. Sometimes you just need to hold space for people and work out what it is that they need, because one size does not fit all. So I appreciate you saying that, Linda. And I definitely do feel I'm in flow. So
yes, and people when they're feeling Kevin says hi, by the way.
Hi, Kevin. Everybody needs a Kevin.
It's your partner's Kevin. Is it a Kevin or a Kev?
Kevin.
Is it
Kevin.
Kevin? Yeah. Where was I? Oh,
Well, you were saying nice things about me, and I was saying thank
very
you.
nice things about. Oh yes, of course, yeah. So yeah, when people are not in a good place mentally, then they need to know that the therapist, the practitioner that they're going to see, that they feel safe,
Totally. 100%.
totally safe in that with that practitioner. And I think you certainly, well, I know you. I've known you for long enough that you are a trusted, safe
Thank you. Yeah, and I get more and more doctor referrals now. I've got a couple of pretty leading endocrine specialist doctors in London who are referring all the time to me now. So, and I know that, they really want to know that they're putting their clients into safe hands. So,
of course.
yeah.
So we've got a question here from Maggie. Any tips for health anxiety? Never had it until recently on HRT post-menopause. Hi Maggie, thanks for your question. So I think I'd want to know, you've never had it until recently. Do you mean that you've developed health anxiety since going on HRT? Or did you have it before the HRT? If you're still with us, Maggie.
Yeah.
But Ros, yes, I'm sure
Well,
you've
yes,
got lots of tips for health anxiety.
So I had a client some years ago who had had a heart attack, and clearly that is pretty catastrophic because in a way you feel like your body, or the most important organ, or one of the most important organs in your body, has let you down without warning and in a very dramatic and catastrophic way. And they came through, they were doing really well, but their anxiety was off the shebang. Because all the time they were like, what if my heart lets me down again? What if my body lets me down again? So I think the health anxiety, and that's a very extreme example, but anytime your recipe is changing, your body is changing, it's very natural for your brain to kind of go and stay on slight high alert, like, oh, what if this happens again? So I think once you understand that the health anxiety, or the anxiety about your health because of what's happening, I've come through cancer, so it's a similar thing. People are like, oh, what if it happens? The heart attack. It's your mind actually trying to protect you because it's keeping you hyper vigilant to try and make sure that you're on top of it. Once you understand that, you can negotiate with your mind, obviously through things like clinical hypnotherapy, but to be honest, you can just talk to your own mind. So I would sit down, Maggie, and I would actually say, thank you. You do this at night, maybe just before you're going to sleep. Say thank you, subconscious, for keeping me alert. I realize there's a lot of changes going on in my body, in this ship, in this vessel, in what's happening. And I get that you're keeping me on high alert because you want me to be super vigilant. I am now vigilant, but actually us relaxing into this, us not being stressed about this, is actually going to help more. So I instruct and command you now to let that anxiety go and to allow me to do all the good things I'm doing to help it through.
Yeah, I love that, Ros. I love that word, command. I command you. You are commanding your body. You're thanking your body, as you say, for putting it on high alert, and that's what's causing the anxiety, of course, and probably the palpitations. But then you're thanking your brain for putting you on high alert, but then you're commanding it. Thank
Your
you.
subconscious only wants to keep you alive, Linda.
I need, I know what I need to do now. Thank you, but let's calm everything down.
Your subconscious only wants to keep you alive. Okay, that's it. Yes. And pretty much it will do it by carrot or stick.
You're welcome, Maggie. We do hope that's helped you.
Yeah.
If you need any more help, contact Ros.
I hope that helps. Yeah.
And I know you've got loads of free resources, haven't you, as well?
Lots of free. I can send you a really nice quick relaxing for the body. So when anybody's starting to feel anxious or stressed, that, you know, literally about 9-10 minutes, and they can actually bring themselves right back down again. That can be with my compliments. I'll send you that one, Linda.
Well, if you don't mind sending me that, Ros, because then we can send that out with the with this video when we send it out
Yep.
in a newsletter.
Yes. Another one that I noticed I've got so many resources. I'm having to remind myself what I've got. But I think one of the things that happens when we're going through this change is things that held before don't hold. So your boundaries are often really shot to pieces. So whereas at work previously, maybe somebody was a bit difficult with you and it was like water off a duck's back, and now it happens and you're like ready for handing your notice in, or you want to run out the staff room crying. They're busting your boundary. I've got a really nice boundary checklist, which actually helps you take that control back again. So I think that could really be helpful as well during these times of change.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that a talk as well?
No, well, I do. It could very easily be, Linda, because it was actually one of the modules of my 12-week course. So that could be an upcoming talk for you and I.
Yes, it could, couldn't it? Yes. I like what did you say at the beginning? The itty shitty bitty one.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a talk. Putting the itty bitty shitty committee in your head on mute.
I think we definitely need that talk. Ros, it's we've been talking for an hour just over.
Oh wow.
And I know you've got dinner in the oven.
Yeah, I think my fish cake's going to be frazzled, Linda.
I don't think Kevin will be Kev will be very pleased waiting for his dinner. So I just want to say a huge thank you, Ros, for your time. It's been absolutely fascinating as usual. And just to remind everybody, remind everyone where they can contact you, what your website is. I mean, I've put it on here.
Yeah, so it's very, very easily. So it's just www.rosalindpalmer.com. If they want to email me, it's hello@rosalindpalmer.com. And if you find me on any social media, and I'm very active on LinkedIn, I do pretty much daily posting.
I absolutely love reading your posts on LinkedIn.
Thank you. I'm getting really good feedback. Some of them are going almost viral, Linda. I'm on Rosalind Palmer. So yeah.
Yeah, but your posts on LinkedIn are so interesting and so educational and so helpful. So I'm going to let you go. We'll have a little chat when we've ended the video, but I won't keep you very long, Ros.
That's the red arrows flying overhead, I think.
Sorry?
The red arrows are flying overhead. That's that noise. I'm in Lincolnshire. It's every so often.
Amazing. Amazing. I know you live in a wonderful part of the country. So yes, thank you everyone for listening. We really hope that's helped you. And just watch out for if you want to watch this video again, if you want to share it, it will be on social media, but we'll be sending it out in a newsletter within the next week or two as well. So thank you very much everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye bye.
Thank you.